The biggest, most important revelation, I think, of this entire bear market just got dropped. And of course, I do apologize once again for slow content. I am on my honeymoon. I told you I'd be checking in when I did have good Wi-Fi and some free time, and that's right now. And the reality is that we finally have proof of what I've been talking about now for a while, which is, I didn't want to overly FUD, but remember my Ethereum video and I said don't FOMO. Even though the merge is the biggest thing to happen to the blockchain in years, what matters more than anything is liquidity, because this is a risk asset cycle like we've never seen before, where everything, regardless of how good it is, the promise of it, the future potential use cases of it, is getting smothered by a lack of liquidity from the Fed. So that's what matters right now. And this post-Ethereum dump, this post-merge dump, is one of the most important and key observations we can make for the next at least few months, if not year or so, of asset valuations, which is everything is going to be dictated by liquidity and the Fed. So what you have to realize is there is no more of this game of playing around saying, hey, look, there's this big piece of news, this is going to change everything. Narratives and fundamentals have been completely obliterated. They've been killed by the lack of liquidity. And that's because risk assets fundamentally trade against the dollar. Understanding macro, what happens when the Fed changes its policies regarding the dollar, the value of the dollar, is everything. And this is something that I totally faded. And that's because we've been in an unprecedented bullish macro environment for the entire history of crypto. There was no reason to care about macro because macro was consistent. It was consistently supporting risk assets. And so all that mattered was narratives, changes, positive catalysts. It was not important to pay attention to the increasing strength of the dollar, which has been pretty much on the biggest bull run versus other currencies in the most recent history, right? So understanding that what happens to the dollar affects everything traded against the dollar. And this is actually exactly what Bitcoin was built to do, was to be a hedge against monetary debasement. So as the dollar gets stronger, well, that would mean that Bitcoin's narrative slows down, or at least gets weaker short term. As the dollar weakens, which is of course what it will do over and over again. And this is because governments that can print money will print money at a certain point in time. Now, we're in a position where everybody knows, it's clear that the economy became drunk on cheap money. It became drunk and pretty much just addicted to easy money. And if something didn't change, the dollar would be broken. And so we have like a Volcker 2.0 Fed with Jerome Powell, where they're really trying to tighten the screws and make sure that everything goes back to at least a sustainable level of inflation. Probably not going to go back, the cat's not going to get back completely in the bag, but we will probably get inflation down over the next year or so with some intense policies from the Fed. Understanding that macro is everything, regardless of how important and how perfectly Ethereum merged to proof of stake, the 99.9% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and electricity usage, power usage from Ethereum, that's a masterpiece. And yet, the most bullish event in probably the last 4 years of crypto has been met with a massive, massive dump. And that just shows you there is absolutely no glory right now in playing a hero and trying to trade these schizo markets. I've been saying this for months now because I'm trying to really preach the one thing that I wish I got screamed at me during the 2018 bear market, which is just wait, because if you wait, you will have the dry powder, you will have the tools that you need to take advantage of the situations that get presented to you. And I believe very strongly, and I don't know if you can hear this music right now, I'm lost in Italy right now, so I apologize if this music is is kind of like a different vibe from the video. But the reality is that, I really believe this, that we're gonna have a pivot, that eventually the governments will be forced to step back in and fix the situation and clean up the situation that they created. And that means printing money. It's the tool that they've been using for now 5+ decades to stimulate the economy. And they're not just gonna give up on it right now, especially with the dollar ripping so high. They will wanna weaken the dollar because the dollar's too strong right now. We'll talk about that in another video, but just know they cannot let the dollar get so runaway strong that other countries effectively implode. The US needs trading partners. They need the Eurozone. They need China. They need these worldwide partners to strengthen our economy. It's a very interconnected, globalized economy. So what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is stagnation, but I don't believe that's the worst. I don't believe stagnation, even if it happens on a macro level, would be necessarily applicable to crypto. You see, crypto is fundamentally changing the internet. It's digitizing internet native economies first, and then eventually other economies. But the really important trend that I'm still obsessed with is gaming, because that economy will become digitized. The value of it will become, it will move over to the blockchain, and that will create trillions of dollars in value over the next 10 years. And so regardless of, even if we get complete stagnation in mainstream markets over the next 10 years, I believe that we will see a huge amount of growth within the crypto gaming sector, and that'll mean growth for the underlying protocols like Ethereum and other metaverse focused protocols. So that's what my thesis is that you need to just hang out until we at least reach a period of boring stagnation. Right now, we're still not pricing in the big drops from the Fed. This is something that I yelled and screamed about over the last few videos ago, saying nothing's priced in. And because it's not priced in, these changes where the Fed actually pulls money out of the market, you can't price those in because you can't predict exactly how and when they're going to do it. So the market has not priced these in. Wifey Alpha has a great piece that he put out today saying equities markets are not pricing in the reduction in liquidity. That's something I've been screaming about without as much technical backing. The reality is that they're not priced in. We haven't seen the fee reduction. We haven't seen the cycle play out. And the best thing we can do is wait until this thing that's been crushing the markets, which is the reduction of liquidity, the policy from the Fed, changes its tune and reverses, or at least pauses, at least hits a neutral point and stops getting worse. And that's not there yet. And that's why I think that the biggest thing that people can understand is that crypto trades in a macro environment. It trades against the dollar. It's fundamentally a short on the dollar. It's a short on a lot of different pieces of the economy. But as the dollar is being strengthened, as the entire motion of the ocean is to give power back to that one instrument and to effectively stop inflation, we're in a position where crypto, at least Bitcoin, and speculative growth will slow down. Now we need to look at fundamental growth and long-term growth of certain industries as they move into crypto, which is why I've always been so bullish on crypto gaming. And this is where the real work begins. I believe fundamentally that this is one of the most important times in history to be growing, to be improving, to be hustling, and to stay focused. And I saw a tweet today that says the generational lows can only happen when a generation gives up on buying. We have a video that I'll be putting out soon on effectively the pop culture that became investing over 2020 and 2021. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Robinhood was the #1 app on Coinbase on the App Store. Same with Coinbase, they like traded off for #1, and that shows that like pop culture became investing, and that is totally new. And so you have a whole bunch of new, unfortunately, dumb money, retail money that came in right at the peak of this bull cycle, which makes sense. And that's usually how it works: is you get the dumb money in at the end. And the reality is that now we need to see exactly when we can see a bottoming and when we see the sort of sentiment truly shift. And so understanding, looking for those things in tandem with the Fed pivot, these are the things that we can look for. And there will be generational lows. There will be a period probably of stagnation. And I believe there will be a period over the next 10 years of unprecedented crypto growth. And so this is the time where it gets hard, where it gets boring, and where the people who stay focused are able to make outsized gains, not in the short term, but in the long term. I'm going to be working hard each and every day I can, especially when I get back from my honeymoon. So I appreciate you guys being tolerant of the lower video output. I'll be doing everything I can to increase to reflect all the knowledge and the research that my team is doing, that I'm doing, and to give you just every bit of advantage that I can with these videos. So if these have been helping you, please smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be coming out with a lot of different types of research here that we've been preparing. My team's been working on a lot of content that I'm going to be recording when I get back into town. And as always, I'm wishing you well, and I believe that truly that this, these horrible times can create really strong people, can create a really strong economy, and that, the country and people in general can emerge better for this. So remaining optimistic, remaining hopeful, and working hard. As always, stay well. Please subscribe and like. It takes 2 seconds. It really shows the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this video, and it shares it to more people. Stay well, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers. Bye.